The tension inside the arena was already boiling before a single word was even spoken. But what happened next? It pushed the WWE locker room to the edge. Because when CM Punk grabbed that microphone on WWE Raw, everyone expected one thing: an apology. A simple apology. A few words that could calm down the chaos that had been building between Punk and Jey Uso and Jimmy Uso. But instead, Punk looked straight into the camera, smirked, and said he had absolutely nothing to apologize for. The arena exploded, not just with boos, but with pure shock. Because this wasn't just trash talk anymore. This was personal. And if you watched Raw live, you already know that the situation went from tense to completely out of control in a matter of seconds. But before we break down exactly what happened, I want to ask you something. Quick question for the real wrestling fans in the comments. Do you think CM Punk should apologize to the Usos, or is he completely justified? Type apologize or no apology in the comments right now. Because after everything that happened on Raw, this debate is about to get very heated. Let's rewind to the beginning of the night. The cameras opened on a packed arena buzzing with anticipation. Fans were chanting. Signs were everywhere. And there was one name written across dozens of them. CM Punk. Love him or hate him, when CM Punk walks into a WWE arena, you can literally feel the temperature change. And on this night, the atmosphere was electric, but also tense, because the entire WWE universe knew something big was coming.
Why?
Because last week, Punk didn't just call out the tag division. He specifically called out the Usos. And he didn't hold back. He questioned their loyalty. He mocked their past alliances. And he said something that many fans, and even people backstage, thought crossed the line. So, naturally, everyone expected that tonight on WWE Raw, Punk would walk back some of those comments. Maybe clarify them. Maybe apologize. Instead, he doubled down. When his music hit, the reaction was deafening. Half the crowd cheering. Half the crowd booing. Classic CM Punk. He slowly walked down the ramp, soaking it all in. Every chant, every insult, every cheer. And when he finally stepped into the ring, he didn't speak right away. He just stood there, looking around, almost enjoying the chaos. Then he raised the microphone, and the arena went silent. His first words? Everybody keeps asking me the same stupid question. The crowd instantly reacted. Punk continued. CM Punk, are you going to apologize to the Usos? He paused, then laughed. Not a nervous laugh, a mocking laugh. And that's when you could see the anger building in the crowd, because they knew what was coming. Then Punk said it.
Slowly. Clearly.
I don't owe Jey Uso or Jimmy Uso an apology.
Boom.
The arena erupted. Boos raining down like thunder. But Punk didn't care. If anything, it seemed to energize him. He started pacing around the ring. Then he continued talking. And that's when things got even more intense. Punk said that everything he said last week was the truth. He said the Usos built their reputation hiding behind bigger names. He said they only became legends because of the people they surrounded themselves with. And then he dropped a line that made the entire arena gasp. If the truth hurts, maybe you too should learn how to deal with it. That was the moment. You could feel it. The tension had reached a breaking point. And right on cue, the music hit. The crowd exploded when Jey Uso appeared on the stage. But he wasn't alone. Right beside him was Jimmy Uso. And the looks on their faces? Pure fury. They weren't smiling. They weren't playing to the crowd. They were locked in, eyes on CM Punk. And you could tell immediately. This wasn't going to be a friendly conversation. As they marched down the ramp, Punk leaned casually against the ropes, still smirking, still acting like none of this bothered him. When the Usos entered the ring, the crowd was losing their minds. Three of the most explosive personalities in WWE standing face to face. No security, no authority figures, just tension. Jey grabbed a microphone first, and his voice. It was filled with anger. He said Punk didn't just disrespect them. He disrespected their entire legacy, their family, their journey. Then Jimmy stepped forward. He said Punk had one chance. One chance to make things right. And that chance was simple. Apologize. Right here.
Right now.
The crowd started chanting. Apologize. 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 The moment felt massive. Everyone watching knew this was the turning point. Would Punk swallow his pride? Or would he push things even further? Punk slowly lifted the microphone again, looked at both Usos, then looked out at the crowd, and said 5 words that sent shockwaves through the arena. Not happening. Not today. The reaction was insane. Some fans cheering wildly, others booing at the top of their lungs. But the biggest reaction came from the Usos themselves, because you could literally see the moment their patience snapped. Jay stepped forward, nose to nose with Punk, and asked him one last time, "You really gonna stand there and disrespect us like that?" Punk shrugged, and that tiny gesture, it was like throwing gasoline on a fire. Before we continue, another quick question for you guys. Who would win in a real match right now? CM Punk versus Uso. Drop your prediction in the comments. Punk wins or JY wins? I'm genuinely curious what the Ring Rumble community thinks. Back inside the ring, things were about to explode. Jimmy stepped forward. Jay stepped forward. Punk didn't move. The tension was unbearable. Fans were standing, phones out, everyone waiting for the first punch. But instead, Punk started clapping. Slow, sarcastic. And then he said something that made the entire arena gasp again. "You guys done yet?" That was it. Jay lunged forward. Security rushed out instantly. Officials flooded the ring, holding them apart. But it was chaos. Fans screaming. The Usos trying to break free. Punk yelling back at them. At one point, it looked like the entire situation would turn into a full brawl. And honestly, the crowd wanted it. But WWE officials managed to separate them just in time. The Usos were pulled toward the ramp, still shouting, still furious. Meanwhile, Punk stood in the ring yelling back at them. And the final line he shouted? It might be the most controversial moment of the night. He said, "You want respect? Earn it." That line instantly went viral. Social media exploded. Fans arguing, debating, picking sides. And it didn't take long before the WWE Universe split into 2 camps. Team Punk and Team Usos. But here's the crazy part. The story didn't end there. Because later in the night, things got even more intense. Backstage cameras caught the Usos walking through the hallway, still furious. And they made it clear in a quick interview. They weren't done with CM Punk. Not even close. Jay said Punk had just made the biggest mistake of his career. Jimmy said if Punk didn't apologize tonight, he would regret it. And guess what? Punk still didn't apologize. Not later. Not backstage. Not at all. Which leaves us with a huge question moving forward. Where does this rivalry go from here? Because if WWE lets this story continue to build, we might be looking at one of the most explosive feuds of the year. Imagine it. CM Punk versus Uso. Or maybe even CM Punk versus the Usos in a handicap match. The tension, the promos, the chaos. It would be absolute must-watch television. But I want to know what you think. Another quick question for the comments. Should WWE book a match between CM Punk and Uso at the next premium live event? Type book it if you want the match. Or an O match if you think WWE should take the story in a different direction. Because whether you love him or hate him, CM Punk just proved something again tonight. He refuses to back down. He refuses to apologize. And he definitely refuses to play nice. Which is exactly why moments like this keep the WWE Universe talking. But there's still one detail from Raw that people aren't talking about enough. A tiny moment. A quick glance. Something that might hint at what's coming next. Right before the Usos were pulled backstage, Jay looked directly at Punk and made a gesture across his throat. The kind of gesture that usually means only one thing in WWE.
War.
And if that's the direction this story is heading, then the next episode of WWE Raw might be absolutely explosive. Before we wrap up, One final question for the real wrestling fans watching this video. Who is the bigger WWE legend? CM Punk
Or
Jey Uso and Jimmy Uso? Drop your answer in the comments, because the debate is officially on. And after what happened tonight, this rivalry might just be getting started.